the Henson House Hospitality House over here by Borges Hospital. And we are back with Dr. Mancini today. We're gonna be making what I call Nana soup. It's kind of like a beef and vegetable barley soup. It's a family recipe for me. So thank you for being with us. If you would like to introduce yourself for our viewers.
Absolutely. I'm Brandon Mancini. I'm a radiation oncologist at West Michigan Cancer Center. I've been at the center for about 3 years now. And I grew up in Canton, Michigan on the east side of the state, and then have been on the west side of the state probably for about 6 years total.
Great, wonderful. Well, we're glad to have you with us. Like I said, it's a pretty simple recipe, so we will go ahead and get started, and at the end, we'll obviously have you taste it and let us know what you think.
Okay.
All right, so to get started, we're gonna saute. We have some onions, some ground beef. So we're gonna get started with that. Obviously with this recipe, you could use something like ground turkey if you were trying to limit your red meat intake. So we'll get started with that. If you wanna take the ground beef for me, we'll get going with that. Do you do a lot of cooking, Dr. Mancini?
Yeah, it's hit or miss. A lot of crock pots or Instant Pots or air fryer type thing.
Yeah. All right, if you wanna go ahead and add the ground beef. I can spatula it right off the plate. So there we go. All right, so we're kind of just gonna wait for that to brown. And a lot of family recipes then. This is our first family recipe for our soup series.
Yeah, I think for us, I mean, really, my dad was Italian, so growing up, a lot of Italian food.
Okay.
Things like that. And actually my wife's family probably has the most family recipes that we've carried over.
Okay.
So a lot of sausage and meatballs, things like that. She's Italian as well.
Oh my gosh, is she really?
So that's carried on generation to generation.
No kidding. And you have 2 young kids. Are they pretty good eaters for you guys?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Our 1-year-old kind of eats anything and loves everything.
Oh, wow.
So that's easy.
Yeah.
Our 3-year-old has an opinion now, so he's a little bit more picky, but we always have Dino chicken nuggets as a go-to if we need to get some protein in. Try to mix it up and do what we can.
Good. And do they help in the kitchen?
Definitely the 3-year-old.
Yeah, I guess the 1-year-old's still a little young.
We have one of those kind of kitchen helpers that they climb up to.
Yeah.
So anything you can involve him with makes him happy and feels like he's part of kind of the bigger picture there.
Well, and then too, you know, he's a little bit maybe more excited to try something as well. So
that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, very good.
Yeah.
So just waiting for this beef to brown a little bit more. We are going to, once this gets done, we are going to strain off some of the excess grease. We're going to add an entire container of V8 juice. So this recipe is a little bit higher in sodium for that reason. You can obviously do like a low sodium version. There's also more there's spicy V8 juice if you like a little bit more heat, because there's not a ton of seasoning in this recipe. So for patients who maybe are a little bit more nauseous or having issues, it's kind of a nice neutral soup. That being said, with the excess sodium, if they are having kind of a lot of, whether it's vomiting or diarrhea even, this could be a good way to get some extra sodium in them.
Yeah.
So we are going to strain off some of this grease. There tends to be quite a bit more grease with beef than with something like ground turkey or even like ground chicken. So I sometimes do it like this. Other times I will hold it over and drain it into an empty can or something. I don't know, do you do something?
Yeah, I think, usually the lid on top and then drain it over.
Yeah, so just however, I know some people even will throw it into a colander and rinse it. Do you do that?
Nope, I haven't done that before.
I haven't done that myself.
Right.
But all right, so now we're going into the big soup pot.
Okay.
If you want to open our chunky tomatoes, and those again have some green chilies in there. If you have an issue with spice, you could probably just do regular diced tomatoes. We're gonna do a whole thing of the V8 juice. Perfect.
drain anything out of here or no?
Nope, that can go right in there if you don't mind. All right, and then I'll take our cooked beef with our onions. Try to keep it from all going in now that we've drained it off.
Yep.
And then if you want to grab our carrots, those are going in as well.
And where did you say the recipe ultimately came from?
My mom's mom, who we called Nana.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that when she would, you know, come around, it was like one of those recipes that only she could make. And then it was one of those recipes that only my mom could make. And then I went to college and, you know, she's like, you can make this. This is a really simple recipe. I'm like, it's not the same. Yeah. And you know, I have managed to now make it, and I think it's okay. But it's essentially like a beef and a barley and veggie soup. It's very simple, but yeah, Nana soup is what we all tend to call it.
That's cool.
So now we're gonna wait for the carrots to soften. We're gonna add 1/3 of a cup of barley. Barley is a grain. It's not gluten-free, but it's a good source of fiber. Somewhere between, like, I actually think it looks a lot like oatmeal.
Sure.
But it's one of those that kind of does expand, so you're not gonna do a ton. Just 1/3 of a cup, and it'll just kind of give it a little bit of texture.
Yep.
So yeah, you can pour it out. We won't add it just yet, but yeah, kind of looks like oatmeal, but similar to quinoa or something. It just kind of holds some moisture. Quinoa you could use in lieu of the barley. You could do like wild rice as well. But yeah, for the barley itself is not going to be gluten-free. So other options that are out there.
Yeah.
So we will wait another minute or two. We'll let those carrots soften and kind of cook. And then once you add the barley, it's really pretty much as soon as the barley softens and kind of cooks, the dish is done. We are leaving our soup as we always do. We leave it here at Henson House for the guests who are kind of coming and going from the hospital.
That's awesome.
I will ask, we've been asking the same 3 questions of all of our guests. What is your absolute favorite food? Could live on it if you were stuck on an island?
I think I'll go simple and satisfying, just peanut butter.
Peanut butter?
Straight peanut butter.
Okay.
From the jar.
Okay.
Yep.
Crunchy or smooth?
I'm good with either.
Either or.
I usually do no salt added because
Okay.
it tends to be pretty salty.
Yep.
Just spoonfuls.
Spoonfuls. And you know, I tell my patients that all the time. If they're not hungry, at the very least, take a spoonful of peanut butter because there's calories, there's protein, there's fat. So, very nice.
Yeah.
What was the last thing you ate today?
Banana and then an IQ bar, so kind of a simple protein bar.
Okay.
This one had almond butter in it. So,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, very good. And your least favorite food, you never eat it, you never order it, you never prepare it.
This goes against the Italian roots, but eggplant.
Eggplant.
I don't know
Okay.
what it is, but something about the rubbery texture,
Okay.
it can be good when you really get it fried and breaded and so forth, but that would have to be mostly what I avoid. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I am a terrible dietitian. I don't know that I've had eggplant. But I know a lot of people like the eggplant
That's
parmesan.
true,
Everyone's
absolutely.
always telling me that, and I like my Italian food. So
Yeah, it
maybe
might have
one
to
of
be a
these
future
days.
recipe.
It may. So, well, wonderful. Well, we're gonna wait a couple more minutes, and then we'll add the barley, and we'll give it a try.
Sounds good.
Wonderful. Thank you. If you want to grab the barley, we're gonna go ahead and add that now. Everything is pretty well cooked through. Perfect. Wonderful. And similar to a lot of grains, you know, you add it and it kind of looks like there's not nearly enough in there, but with time, you know, if you were to add like a cup, it would like absorb everything. It would no longer be a soup. So just kind of trust that it's gonna kind of bulk up. And so usually 10, 15 minutes later, it kind of swells and it's really done then. So we're gonna go ahead and try the soup, and you're gonna let me know what you think.
Sounds good.
And then we will wrap up here. So we will come over. We have one pre-made.
Smells good.
Smells good. I'm glad. All right.
How often did you make this recipe?
This one kind of a lot. If I ever like don't know what I want to make for a meal, I'm like, well, I'll make manna soup. It's easy.
Yeah.
It gives me a couple meals. I make it, and it kind of I can bring it for lunch a couple days of the week. And
Right. And then have you done the substitution? The turkey
I
for-
haven't. I have not. But I know. I think my mom has.
Yeah.
All right. There you are. And we usually eat ours with the buttery townhouse crackers,
Yep.
but you know, you can do crackers, bread, nothing but.
Good. That's good.
What do you think?
Perfect for a nice cold winter day.
Yeah. It's kind of like a chili, but no beans.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
And like you said, the barley kind of plumps up.
Adds
so
a
you don't
little
need very much
something.
of it.
Yeah, but there's no spice there. Every once in a while, I like my spicy food, so I'll add red pepper flakes to give it an extra kick. But there's really no spices. There's no garlic. There's no salt, pepper, anything. So you could definitely kind of spice it up in that way.
Yeah. And the green chilies for the tomatoes do.
It does give it a little extra kick as well.
Yeah.
So, well, wonderful. Thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for joining us.
Absolutely.
We will attach the recipe, despite being a family recipe. We will type it up. We'll attach it in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe the YouTube channel. And thank you, as always, to the Henson Hospitality House. And our groceries this month are from Harding's, courtesy of Harding's Grocery Store.
Awesome.
Alrighty,
Cool.
thank
Thank you so much.